Hello and welcome to K News. This is Hardik Trivedi. Let's have a look on what is happening in India and the world. On a quiet visit to Ladakh designed to deliver a loud message to China, Prime Minister Narendra Modi told soldiers posted along the line of actual control that the courage they had demonstrated had sent a message to the entire world. Addressing soldiers deployed in Ladakh, PM Modi said tales about their valor and being spoken in every house across the country. The enemy has seen your fire and fury as well, PM Modi told the soldiers in address telecast live from Ladakh to the country. PM Modi also referred to the violent clash between soldiers of India and China at Galwan Valley on June 15 and paid his tributes to soldiers who laid down their lives. From Leh, Ladakh to Siachen and Kargil and Galwan icy waters, every mountain, every peak is witness to the valor of Indian soldiers, PM Modi said. Without naming Beijing, that has been trying to encroach into Indian territory in Galwan Valley and Pangong TSO and create new boundary disputes. PM Modi said times had changed and the era of expansionism was over. This is the time for development, not expansion. PM Modi stayed on target and continued hurling darts at China. The expansionist policies from some countries had affected world peace, he said, a clear reference to China that has disputes with 21 of its neighbors. His arrival in Leh and had already delivered the first set of messages to Beijing. It also contrasts India's approach to the standoffs along the line of actual control to Chinese leadership's efforts to signal a hands-off approach. The PM Modi's visit is also a very strong message to President Xi Jinping that either he gets his aggressive Western theater commander Zhao Zongqi to restore status quo ante or accept the inevitable consequences of PLA escalation. The Indian Army and the Chinese PLA are locked up at 4 points on the LSE in eastern Ladakh, with the latter consolidating on ground while mouthing peace overtures. The location at Nimu, where PM Modi addressed soldiers from the Army, Air Force, ITBP, border and organization, resembled an active forward base. There were artillery guns and other heavy equipment all under camouflage, with soldiers wearing helmets and sitting in trenches, and other kinds of dug out position with a rare glint of courage, a top military commander said. China under President Xi Jinping has stepped up its aggressive foreign policy towards India and resisted efforts to clarify the line of actual control that prevented a lasting peace from being realized, according to a report released by a US Congress appointed commission. The armies of India and China have been locked in a bitter standoff at multiple locations in eastern Ladakh for the last 7 weeks, and the tension escalated after 20 Indian soldiers were killed in a violent clash in the Galwan Valley on June 15. Under General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, Xi Jinping, Beijing has stepped up its aggressive foreign policy towards New Delhi. Since 2013, China has engaged in 5 major altercations with India along the line of actual control, said a brief issued by US-China Economic and Security Review Commission. Beijing and New Delhi have signed a series of agreements and committed to confidence-building measures to stabilize their border, but China has resisted efforts to clarify the LAC, preventing a lasting peace from being realized. said the report, and was prepared at the request of the Commission to support its deliberations. Authored by Will Green, a policy analyst on the Security and Foreign Affairs team at the Commission, the report says that the Chinese government is particularly fearful of India's growing relationship with the United States and its allies and partners. The latest border clash is part of a border pattern in which Beijing seeks to warn New Delhi against aligning with Washington. After Xi Jinping assumed power in 2012, there was a significant increase in clashes, despite the fact that he met Prime Minister Narendra Modi several times, and Beijing and New Delhi have agreed to a series of confidence-building mechanisms designed to mitigate tensions. Prior to 2013, the last major border clash was in 1987. The 1950s and 1960s were a particularly tense period, culminating in 1962 with a war that left thousands of soldiers dead on both sides. According to the records of China's People Liberation Army, the report said the 2020 skirmish is in line with Beijing's increasingly assertive foreign policy. The clash came as Beijing was aggressively pressing its other expensive sovereignty claims in the Indo-Pacific region, such as over Taiwan and the South and East China Seas. Congress has approved a bill rebuking China over its crackdown in Hong Kong amid protests against a strict national security law that outlaws so-called subversive or terrorist acts, as well as collusion with foreign forces intervening the city's affairs. Chinese critics says the new law effectively ends the one country, two systems framework, under which Hong Kong was promised a high degree of autonomy when it reverted from British to Chinese rule in 1997. The US legislation would impose sanctions on groups that undermine Hong Kong's autonomy, including police units that have cracked down on Hong Kong protesters, as well as Chinese Communist Party officials responsible for imposing the new security law. The bill also imposes sanctions on banks that do business with entities found to violate the law. The Senate gave final legislative approval to the measure on Thursday, a day after the House approved it. It now goes to the White House. Ahead of the Senate vote, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian said no amount of pressure from external forces could shake China's determination and will to safeguard national sovereignty and Hong Kong's prosperity and stability. He urged the US to abide by international law and stop interfering in Hong Kong's affairs and not sign the sanction bill into law. If President Donald Trump signs the bill, China will definitely take strong countermeasures and all consequences will be borne by the US side, Zhao told reporters on Thursday. The White House declined to comment, but in a television interview on Thursday, Vice President Mike Pence called the new Hong Kong security law a betrayal of the international agreement China signed. Senator Chris Van Hollen, a co-sponsor of the Senate bill, said a passage of the Hong Kong Autonomy Act makes it clear that the United States will not stand by as China seeks to crush freedom, human rights and democracy in Hong Kong. At least 8 Uttar Pradesh police personnel, including a deputy superintendent of police, were killed in an encounter with criminals in Kanpur, officials said on Friday. The encounter took place when the police team was approaching to arrest Vikas Dubey, a history sheeter facing 60 criminal cases in Dikru village under Chayabur police station. As the police team was about to reach the hideout of the dead criminal, a hail of bullets was showered on them from a building rooftop, leaving Deputy SP Devendra Mishra, 3 sub-inspectors and 4 constables dead, officials said. Giving details of the incident, Uttar Pradesh Director General of Police H.C. Awasthi said the notorious criminal might have gotten linking of the impending raid. He and his henchmen put up massive roadblocks to prevent the police personnel from proceeding towards their hideout. As the police team was caught unawares, the criminals fired at them from a building rooftop, leading to the deaths, Awasthi said. On getting information about the incident, additional DG Law and Order IG Kanpur and the senior SP of Kanpur rushed to the spot where a forensic team has started investigations. The forensics team will be joined by another team from Lucknow. The Special Task Force of the Uttar Pradesh Police has also been pressed into action, the DGP said. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath paid tributes to the slain policemen and conveyed his heartfelt condolences to their family members. According to a spokesperson, he directed the police chief to take stringent action against the culprits and collect a detailed report from the spot immediately. Senior BJP leader Uma Bharti Thursday appeared in a person before a special court conducting trial in 1992 Babri Mosque demolition case. The special CBI court is currently recording the statements of 32 accused under CRPC sections 313, court's power to examine the accused, a stage in the trial that follows the examination of prosecution witnesses. The 61-year-old saffron-clad BJP leader is the 19th accused to dispose before the court in the over 27-year-old case. 13 other alleged accused, including former Deputy Prime Minister L.K. Advani and senior BJP leaders Murli Manohar Joshi and Kalyan Singh, are yet to be examined at this stage. The lawyers have indicated to the CBI that they prefer to appear through video conferencing. The mosque in Ayodhya was demolished in December 1992 by Karsevaks who claimed that an ancient Ram temple had stood on the same site. The CBI court is conducting day-to-day hearings to complete the trial by August 31 as directed by the Supreme Court. It's time for a short break. We'll join you in a short while.
Wasabi of the fan with the cooler number one. Take a chase go more fun, unte cooler number one. Take a don't run from the sun, unte Kenstra number one. पहली नजर में हो गया मैं दीवाना 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 इतना सुंदर जैसे कोई सपना सुहाना मैं दीवाना दीवाना
कटारिया टाइल्स, जो देखे वो दीवाना।
Welcome back to K News and thank you for watching. Let's continue the streak of news. Electronic chip maker Intel's investment arm Intel Capital will buy 0.39% stake in billionaire Mukesh Ambani's digital unit Jio Platforms for rupees 1,894 crore, the company said on Friday. Intel Capital is 12th company to join the list of marquee firms who have recently invested in the Geo platforms, taking the total investment to 1,17,588 crore. Intel Capital will invest rupees 1,894 crore in Geo platforms at an equity value of rupees 4.91 lakh crore and an enterprise value of rupees 5.16 lakh crore. Intel Capital's investment will translate into 0.39% equity stake in Geo platforms on a fully diluted basis. Reliance Industries and Geo platforms said in a joint statement. Geo platforms, a wholly owned subsidiary of Reliance Industries, also runs Reliance Jio Telecom business. Jio leads the Indian market with over 38.8 crore subscribers. Intel Capital has an outstanding record of being a valuable partner for leading technology companies globally. We are therefore excited to work together with Intel to advance India's capabilities in cutting-edge technologies that will empower all sectors of our economy and improve the quality of life of 1.3 billion Indians. Mukesh Ambani, Chairman and Managing Director of Reliance Industries, said. Wendell Brooks, Intel Capital President, said that Geo Platforms focus on applying its impressive engineering capabilities to bring the power of low-cost digital services to India aligns with Intel's purpose of delivering breakthrough technology that enriches lives. We believe digital access and data can transform business and society for the better. Through this investment, we are excited to help fuel digital transformation in India, where Intel maintains an important presence, Brooks said. India's trade deficit with China fell to US dollars 48.66 billion in 2019-20 on account of decline in imports from the neighboring country, according to government data. Exports to China in the last financial year stood at US dollars 16.6 billion, while imports aggregated at US dollars 65.26 billion, the data showed. The trade deficit between the countries was at US dollar 53.56 billion in 2018-19 and US dollars 63 billion in 2017-18. The main imports from China includes clocks and watches, musical instruments, toys, sports goods, furniture, mattresses, plastic, electrical machinery, electrical equipments, chemicals, ions, steel items, fertilizers, mineral fuel and metals. New Delhi has time and again raised concerns over widening trade deficit with China. The government is taking steps such as framing technical regulations and quality norms for several products to cut dependence on China for imports. It has also imposed anti-dumping duties on several goods, which are being dumped in the domestic market at below the average prices from China with a view to guard domestic players from cheap imports. As many as 371 products have been identified for technical regulations. Out of these, technical regulations have been formulated for 150 products worth about US dollars 47 billion of imports. Similarly, foreign direct investment from China into India too has dipped to US dollars 163.78 million in 2019-20 from US dollars 229 million in the previous fiscal, according to the data. India had received US dollars 350 million FDI from the neighboring country in 2017-18 and US dollars 277.25 million in 2016-17. During during April 2000 and March 2020, New Delhi attracted FDI worth rupees 2.38 billion from China. In April, the government tightened FDI norms coming from the countries which share land border with India. As per the amended FDI policy, a company or an individual from a country that shares land border with India can invest in any sector only after getting government approval. Domestic stock markets extended gains to a third straight session on Friday, tracking global equities. The S&P BSE Sensex index rose as much as 0.74% to 36,110 during the session, having started the day above the 36,000 mark in a gap-up opening. The broader NSE Nifty 50 benchmark strengthened to as high as 1,631 compared to its previous close of 10,551. Gains in IT, energy and automobile supported the markets. However, losses in the metal and select financial stocks limited the upside. The Sensex ended 168 points higher at 36,012 and the Nifty settled at 10,607, up 55.65 points from its previous close. Top gainers in the 50 scrape Nifty basket were Eicher Motors, Adani Ports, Bharti Airtel, Hero Motocorp and NTPC, closing between 1.98% and 4.18% higher. On the other hand, JSW Steel, Tata Steel, IndusInd Bank, Z Entertainment and HDFC Bank settling with losses of between 1.28% and 1.77% were the top Nifty losers. Reliance Industries shares ended 1.53% higher at rupees 1,787 on the BSE, having risen as much as 1.83% during the session after the conglomerate said US-based Intel Corporation's investment arm will buy 0.39% stake in Geo Platforms for rupees 1,894 crore. Bharti Airtel jumped as much as 4.38% during the session before shutting shop with a gain of 4.05% at rupees 581 apiece on the bourse. On Wednesday, the telecom major had said US-based Carlyle Group would invest $235 million in the company. Reliance Industries and Bharti Airtel alone contributed 130 points to the gain in Sensex. For the week, the Sensex added 850 points and the Nifty gained 224 points. Both benchmark indices have rebounded sharply from a COVID-19-led crash in March but remain around 13% lower of the year. The Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague has upheld the conduct of the Indian authorities in the Enrica Lexi case, in which two Italian Marines were accused of killing two Indian fishermen in 2012, and said New Delhi is entitled to get compensation in the case, but cannot prosecute the Marines due to the official immunity enjoyed by them. The International Tribunal also held that the two Marines violated the international law, and as a result, Italy breached India's freedom of navigation under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Anurag Srivastava said during an online media briefing. In February 2012, India accused two Italian Marines, Salvatore Giron and Massimiliano Latore, on board the MV Enrico Lexi, an Italian-flagged oil tanker, of killing two Indian fishermen who were on a fishing vessel off Kerala coast in India's exclusive economic zone. The issue of jurisdiction over the case became a big argument between the two countries. While India maintained that the incident happened in Indian waters and also the fishermen killed were Indian, and hence the case must be tried as per its laws, Italy claimed that the shooting took place outside Indian territorial waters and its marines were on board the ship with Italian flag. India had detained the two marines after the shooting incident but later allowed them to return to Italy on specific conditions following separate orders by the Supreme Court. Mr. Srivastav said the tribunal decided that India is entitled to payment of compensation in connection with loss of life, physical harm, material damage to property and moral harm suffered by the captain and other crew members of Saint Anthony. The tribunal upheld the conduct of the Indian authorities with respect to the incident under the provisions of the UN CLOs. It held that the actions of the Italian military officers and consequently Italy breached India's freedom of navigation under UN CLOs, Articles 87, 1 by A and 90. Mr. Srivastav said the tribunal rejected Italy's claim to compensation for the detention of the Marines. However, it found that the immunities enjoyed by the Marines as state officials operate as an exception to the jurisdiction of the Indian courts and hence preclude them to judge the Marines. While Judge Vladimir Gottlieb, Judge Jin Huan Paik and Professor Francesco Franchioni voted in favor of Italy, Judge Patrick Robinson and Dr. Prema Raju Srinivasa voted for India in the 5-member tribunal. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi flew into Ladakh on Friday to deliver a message to China weeks after a clash left 20 Indian soldiers dead, they faced a renewed attack from Congress. Rahul Gandhi, who questioned PM's statement over Chinese intrusion, while the people of the Himalayan region claim that China has taken their land. The PM says otherwise, and someone is lying, Rahul Gandhi tweeted. He tweeted a video of residents of Ladakh accusing China of occupying Indian territory in the region. The former Congress chiefs came on a day when PM Modi visited Nimu in Leh to meet personnel of the army. Accompanied by Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, the Prime Minister reached Leh around 9:30 am. Under pressure to respond to Chinese aggression, PM Modi has said after the clash last month that the Chinese were not occupying any Indian territory or posts. Rahul Gandhi has been scaling up his campaign against the government with near daily attacks since Indian soldiers died in a violent face-off with Chinese forces along the line of actual control on June 15. Mr. Gandhi has accused the Prime Minister of surrendering Indian land to China and lying about the border standoff. The BJP has brushed off the attacks with party chief JP Nadda, saying a dynast throws tantrums and his courtiers peddle a fake narrative. The nation is united and supportive of our armed forces. This is the time for unity and solidarity. That's all for now. Keep watching K News. This is Hardik Trivedi taking your leave. Be alert, be positive, be safe.